Hello, hello, welcome back. We are diving back into the thinking mind and continuing where we left off. So, what I want to talk about next is what's going to change your life if you practice it and really absorb this practice and this skill. So, the skill is detaching and understanding that you are not your thoughts, you are not your thinking mind. You are the one who notices them. You notice your thoughts, you notice your thinking mind, you notice the rumination, you notice the obsession. You are the witness of those things, of those moments of consciousness. This means that there has to be levels of consciousness because think about it. If you did not have an observer of your thoughts, or if you did not have that ability, you would just be your thoughts. You would just be the thinking mind, and you would never have the ability to say like, "Ooh, I can't believe I'm thinking that. Oh my goodness, I didn't know I think. Why am I thinking that?" Or, "Ooh, that's a crappy thought. I don't want to be thinking that way." Or, "Oh, look at me worrying about that test again." So the fact that you have the ability to observe thought means that there can be this separation, and if you practice and hone that skill, it will serve you very, very well. What you're going to start to find is that thinking and awareness are two different modes of mind. In other words, you can either be thinking like, what should I wear to the party tomorrow night? Oh, I just bought that new dress, but you know what? I might return it. It was really expensive, and I have that other dress, and it kind of looks really similar, and maybe I should just wear that instead. But I really like that new one. I don't know. I really like the straps on it. It makes my arms look. Whatever it is, that's thinking. That's thinking. That's that default mode network. Just think, 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 think. Here's what awareness looks like. What should I wear tomorrow night? I wonder if I should wear that new dress or should I wear the old one? I've only worn it one time, and maybe I, it was really expensive, the new dress. I should probably return it. I'm noticing that I am thinking a lot about what I'm wearing tomorrow night. I'm noticing a lot of thoughts around this right now. Shining the light of awareness on your thinking mind generally dissolves quite a bit of the thinking. It pauses it at least momentarily, and it also puts you in a different mode of mind. It puts you in awareness rather than in thinking. We get so lost in thoughts, especially the more emotionally charged they are, the more it connects to a belief system or a core belief about ourselves, which we'll talk more about later. The more we're going to ruminate and obsess about that. So even think about this, like if you're someone who struggles with, let's say, anxiety or OCD, think about it in terms like this. Let's say that your OCD is around contamination and you're obsessively thinking like, I can't go on an airplane. I'm going to get contaminated and there's too many germs there and I don't like airports. It's just there's millions of people that come in and out of there every day and I just can't be doing it. And then you zoom out and you're like, I'm noticing that I'm having a lot of thoughts about contamination. Two completely separate experiences. One, you are totally connected and attached to your thinking mind. The other is that you are aware of yourself as the observer and you recognize that there is a part of you that is anxious and fearful and worried about contamination. These are two very, very different experiences. Once you are aware, you have so much more opportunity now to move from here and from this space of awareness. Now you have an opportunity to make conscious choices about how you want to act and behave next. And that is you waking up. That is you being out of the autopilot. That is you creating a life that you really want and becoming the person that you most want to be. You have choice and agency, and that means you have power. Okay, what else do I want to say about that? To the extent that you can be the one who is aware and become the noticer of the thinker is the extent that you will be free from the thinking mind and the stress that it creates. The mind wants to narrate everything. It's just, I think it's our way of seeking control. Like if you walk outside and it's raining, the mind starts to go, it's raining and is it going to rain all day? And I wanted to play golf later and now I don't know if I can. And my hair is going to look bad. And it's like, what is the point of that? Like, what is the point of that kind of mind wandering and that narrating of the moment to moment experience. You already know it's raining. Why do you have to say to yourself, oh, it's raining out? Oh man, it rains really hard right now. Like, if you did not have the thinking mind, you would still know that it was raining because you would be aware, if that makes sense. So, in the same way that the heart is pumping out blood, the mind is pumping out thoughts just all day, 50 to 70,000 of them, just churning out thought after thought after thought. And it's usually a constant stream of judging, analyzing, worrying, comparing. And if you're someone who's more prone to stress and anxiety, then you are probably more likely to be in, let's say, cognitive distortions, which we'll talk about in a minute. But these are the types of thoughts that don't necessarily facilitate like long-term happiness and fulfillment. Like you tend to gravitate towards that negativity bias. I want to read a passage from one of my beloved, most favorite books ever in life, which is The Untethered Soul. If this whole lesson and what I'm saying right now really resonates with you, take a look at this book. You'll really enjoy it. I'm going to read you a passage that I often read to clients and students because it slaps. It really hits deep. So, listen and see if it resonates for you. Just stop for a moment and see what you have given your mind to do. You said to your mind, I want everyone to like me. I don't want anyone to speak badly of me. I want everything I say and do to be acceptable and pleasing to everyone. I don't want anyone to hurt me. I don't want anything to happen that I don't like. And I want everything to happen that I do like. Then you said, now, mind, figure out how to make every one of these a reality, even if you have to think about it day and night. And of course your mind said, I'm on the job. I will work on it constantly. He goes on in a later passage to say, the mind is constantly trying to give you advice about how to make it all okay. That is why the mind is so active. You gave it an impossible task to do. I love that passage. It resonates very deeply for me. Maybe you will feel that way for yourself as well. Most of my clients can relate to that in some way. The mind is just always thinking about how to fix stuff and how to make yourself feel better. And everything about the mindfulness perspective is about being where you are in that moment without needing to fix and change it, but just being aware and being a little bit zoomed out and being really conscious of what's happening without feeling like your thinking mind is you. Being in resistance to everything that's happening, feeling like you want to get to the next thing in the next place and sometime in the future, and I'll be happy when, and all of that. So you have given the mind an impossible task to keep you happy at all times. And I don't know that that's realistic, and I don't believe that anyone has ever had a human experience where they're just happy all the time. And we don't have to. Of course, happiness isn't bad, and it would be lovely if we were happy all the time. But the reality of human life is that we have a constant flow of thoughts and emotions. And the more that we can allow that to flow through us, the more at peace we feel in the present moment. It's only in the resistance to what's happening that we don't feel okay. So that means that something that we don't love can be happening, but we can be totally at peace. Like that's the wake up, is like I can be in my life fully, completely without being in stress reactivity all the time, even if something is happening that I'm not totally enthused about. So this is where we start to really take a deeper look at what is the impact of my thoughts and the resistance to my thoughts. Because when we are on autopilot, we have something triggers us, and then we have a thought about that. And that thought leads to an emotion. That emotion leads to a body sensation. That body sensation leads to an urge, and an urge leads to an action. And so your thoughts don't just fuel anxiety and depression, they fuel pretty much your whole life. And your resistance, and it creates new thoughts like, oh, I don't like this. And then the emotion is stress and worry and anxiety or depression or sadness or loneliness or rejection. So there's this whole trickle-down effect that's happening moment by moment by moment. And if we are not conscious of it, we are a victim to it. So when left unchecked, it influences how you feel on the moment-to-moment basis for the negative, for the way that you don't want to feel. There's another story, telling you a lot of stories today, another story about the wishing tree. And this is also one of these like cute little spiritual philosophical stories. So there's a story about a wishing tree, and there's a guy who is also walking, a lot of walking in these stories, But he's walking and he ends up in paradise. Lucky for him. But he doesn't know that he's in paradise, and he certainly doesn't know that he ends up sitting down underneath a wishing tree. But he sits down underneath this wishing tree nonetheless, and the first thing he thinks is, man, like, I'm hungry. I've been walking for a long time. And he starts to think about his favorite foods: pizza, cheeseburgers, milkshakes, whatever it is. And everything that he's thinking shows up in front of him. And hungry people don't ask questions, and so he eats. And then he's thinking, man, I'm really thirsty now. Sure would love a Gatorade or some cold, cold water, maybe even a beer. And whatever he's thinking shows up in front of him. And so thirsty people don't ask questions. He drinks. Then he starts to say, something's weird here. I wonder if there's ghosts around. I was thinking about these things and then they just showed up. There must be ghosts here. And then ghosts arrived. And then when the ghosts arrived, he said, oh my God, there's ghosts here. They're probably going to hurt me. I'm afraid that they're going to hurt me. And then the ghosts start hurting him. And then he thinks, oh my goodness, these ghosts are hurting me. I think they're going to kill me. And then they kill him and he dies. Sorry, this wasn't a happier story. However, it is symbolic of the way that what we focus on tends to manifest in our life. So not only do our automatic, habitual, reactive thoughts tend to fuel anxiety and depression, but what we focus the majority of our attention on, and when left unchecked and we're always focusing on the negative or the stuff that we don't like, trying to fight it off at all costs, we're now actually bringing more of that experience to us. So your thoughts become your reality is a very, very common phrase in the law of attraction world. But in a very clinical sense, think about it that the ancestor to every action is a thought. If you want less stress, something needs to change, but not necessarily externally. Something needs to shift internally in your consciousness. When you shift your consciousness, the experience of your life is different. So it has nothing to do with externals. Think about it in this way. Ask yourself, how can I have a negative mindset and a positive life? How can I speak negatively about my body and feel healthy? How can I complain about my work and expect to be validated and get gold stars and be promoted? How can I criticize and judge my partner and have a healthy relationship? So our biggest intentions for this week is understanding how much your thoughts influence the rest of your life, and also that your awareness of your thinking mind without attaching and clinging to it and really getting lost in the thought stream can really serve you in being very intentional about the life you want and about the way that you want to feel on the day-to-day basis. Okay, so let's pause there, and you can let some of those ideas settle, and then I'll catch you in the next video where we're going to dive even deeper.